You're listening to the Fort Erie Podcast, your local source for upcoming events, hot new listings, and bite-sized interviews with business and community leaders. Here's your host, Brent Jones.
Hello and welcome to the Fort Erie Podcast. It is Tuesday, March the 3rd, 2020. I'm your host, Brent Jones, and you're listening to Season 2, Episode 2 of the show. And my guest for today is going to be Jennifer Dockstader, Executive Director of the Fort Erie Native Friendship Center. But just first, as many of you know, each month I give away a gift card to a different local business. And for the month of February, the winner of my giveaway, drawn at random, was Carla E. of Stevensville. Carla won $50 to redeem at Trailside Bar and Grill in Ridgeway. You can find a photo of the happy winner on my social media. But more importantly, I'm doing another draw the first week of April, another $50 gift card for Trailsides. Entering is fast, free, and easy. Just head on over to the FortEriePodcast.com and click giveaway at the top of the page. Let's jump into some local headlines. Here's what's making news in Fort Erie. This first story is actually just kind of bizarre. A Fort Erie man was arrested for threatening restaurant staff with a replica gun. Yikes. This happened Sunday morning around 1:20 a.m. Police were called after a 36-year-old Fort Erie man entered a restaurant and threatened the staff with a fake gun. Now, no one was injured, thank God, and police caught up to the man, from what I understand, fairly shortly thereafter at his nearby home and arrested him. Next story, Fort Erie has officially taken over the former YMCA building. Beginning April 1st, the Boys and Girls Club will be the new official tenant. According to the mayor, the town is committed to ensuring that residents have continued access to recreational, health, and wellness programs. The new facility, it seems, will have reduced hours, but much of the same programming, including pickleball. For those of you who love pickleball, it's not going anywhere. Last story I want to touch on, the operating and capital budgets got final approval. Without getting into too much detail, the numbers, this and that, the long and short is this: taxpayers will see an increase in their bills to the tune of 2.47%. The budget accounts for funding, it looks like 63 different projects for a total of $18.7 million. Now, as always, you can find the direct links to any of these stories to get more information by checking out the show notes below this episode. Now, for my real estate pick of the week, check out this hot new listing, 464 Walden Boulevard, listed by my colleague and team leader, Ray Rosatani of Remax Niagara Realty. This bungalow sits on a huge lot. It's got a great location, lots of privacy, 4 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms, listed for $550,000. You can get more info by checking out the link in the show notes below this episode. Now, what's on your mind, Fort Erie? And I'm, of course, referencing the Fort Erie Questions and Answers Facebook group. There were a couple of popular questions this past week. Maureen asked, what is the best place to sell a car for scrap metal? And the 2 most popular answers included Attar Metals, located on Dunlop Street here in Fort Erie. The other answer was Rodriguez Auto Parts, located in Thorold. Assuming your scrap car can make it to Thorold, I guess. Also, Brianna asks, I am looking for a place that makes cupcakes for a first birthday, preferably in Fort Erie or Ridgeway. The most popular answer, and I mean by a landslide, bar none, was Artistic Sweets, which you can look up on Facebook. It's located on Rose Hill Road in Fort Erie. And that just about does it for questions and answers this week. Now it's time for my interview with Jennifer Dockstader. All right, folks, I am sitting down with Jennifer Dockstader, Executive Director of the Fort Erie Native Friendship Center. Jennifer, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Do you prefer Jen or Jennifer?
Jen is great.
Jen is good? Okay,
Yeah.
Let me start by asking you, what makes Fort Erie such a great place to live and work?
Oh my goodness, I moved here with my family when I was 11 years old.
Oh yeah?
Without telling you how long ago that was.
Okay, sure.
But I've been involved with the Fort Erie Native Friendship Center. I just love Fort Erie because of all of the water between Lake Erie and the Niagara River and all of the green space. And the people are really friendly. Our community is here. Our Indigenous community is here.
Right.
So it's like home away from home.
Awesome. Well, so when was the Friendship Center here first founded then, originally?
We were incorporated in 1983. We actually started in 79, but in 83 we were incorporated as a not-for-profit charity.
Gotcha. And I think when people think of the Friendship Center here, they very often think of the daycare programs a lot of the time.
That's
but
right.
It's so much more expansive than that. I mean, can you touch on some of the other programming and some of the other involvement in the community?
So the Fort Erie Native Friendship Center services people from prenatal all the way through end-of-life services and everything in between. Employment, education, cultural, social programs for all ages at various times. So really, and the way that we do it is through an Indigenous approach. And it's all encompassing. So most of our events are open to community to come to. Well, the vision and the mission to enhance all aspects of Native life while extending friendship to the community. And we do this together for a stronger tomorrow.
That's awesome. So with your role specifically, when did you get involved, I guess? And with your role, it seems like you must have your hands kind of involved in a lot of different things going on here.
Actually, yeah. It's the joy of being an executive director. My hands in everything at the Friendship Center. I've just celebrated my 5th anniversary as executive director of the Fort Erie Native Friendship Center.
Wow.
Over the years, since my family involvement, I volunteered for the Friendship Center. As a teenager, I worked a little bit for the Friendship Center. And then I've been an on again, off again board member, all prior to my becoming executive director.
Now, and I think you mentioned coming up pretty shortly here, you have a couple of pretty big annual events happening in March, right?
We do, actually. We have our 25th annual powwow.
Okay.
And that is going to be March 7th. And that grand entry is at noon. So the event will go noon until 6. And it's a great time to celebrate Indigenous culture, all sorts of drums. We're going to have a smoke dance competition. We're going to exhibit different dance styles of different Indigenous nations, tons of crafts, great food. It's going to be a great and fun day.
Nice. And I think, was there a second event in March? We were...
There is. So the following week is actually our 5th annual Youth and Elder Powwow. Now that's going to be held partially at the Scotia Centre for those 2 days.
In Niagara Falls, right?
In Niagara Falls.
Okay.
But in the evening, we're going to have what's called a round dance. And that's where we bring in the hand drums and some great hand drum groups.
Oh, wow.
And we'll all be doing round dance in the gymnasium of the Friendship Center here.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I certainly want to talk more about the programming here at the Fort Erie Native Friendship Center, but I also want to give listeners a chance to get to know you a little bit better as well. So let's do kind of a rapid fire question round here. I'm going to ask some fun little trivia questions about you, and the first answer that comes to mind, just blurt it out.
Okay.
All right. First question. Oh boy. Okay. Would you rather come face to face with a miniature hippopotamus or a giant cockroach? Let's assume both are in a bad mood.
Miniature hippopotamus.
Miniature hippopotamus. Okay. When was the last time you stayed up past 4 a.m?
Last Wednesday.
Well, that's very specific. Okay. What is the lamest dessert that people try to pass off as a real dessert?
Goodness, I have no idea.
Like a tangerine or something? Okay. When you fly on a plane, do you wear a neck pillow?
No.
No. Okay. Do you like Disneyland?
I've never been.
Okay. How would you rate your karaoke skills on a scale of 1?
Excellent.
They're very good?
Excellent.
Okay. What's your favorite clothing brand? Do you have one?
I do not.
Okay. Do you prefer black beans or refried beans in your burrito?
Black beans.
Okay. And tell me how you like your coffee.
Double with sweetener.
Nice. There we go. That was the rapid fire. You were very decisive. That was good. I like that. Now, thinking of the year as a whole, I guess let's getting back to the crux of the interview here, but do you have a kind of a favorite program or event, that the Fort Erie Native Friendship Center does every year?
Actually, I think it has to be Aboriginal Day.
Yeah.
And Indigenous People Solidarity Day, because it's the one day of the year that it is just about us as a people, where we really we work with other Indigenous people in the area, and it's a day that's specifically carved out for us.
Nice. Do you accept donations or host fundraisers at any point for programming here? And of course, I'm going to put links to everything really that the center is up to below this episode in the show notes for listeners. But I guess my question is, how could Fort Erie residents get more involved, let's say?
Oh, we would love to accept donations. We are open to community, and you can actually make donations on our website.
Oh, really?
FENFC.org.
Oh, wow. Okay, cool.
Yes.
All right, so we'll have a link to that below. That's
Yes.
cool.
It'll also highlight our programs and services, our upcoming events. It'll show our videos that we produce.
Okay.
There's lots of interesting content there.
Great. And I guess sort of in conclusion, I was wondering if you could speak to any specific programming you might have, maybe for people in the area who'd want to learn more about Native culture or heritage. Do you have specific programming, like, I don't know if you'd call it a history class, but something like that?
That's part of why we've done the video series. So
Yeah.
the easiest way to do that actually from home is a good place to start.
Right.
Go on our website. You'll see that we've done a number of videos. We just finished up a 3-part series called Indigenous Perspectives. So it starts to give a little bit of history of us and this area and what we really think.
Okay.
And then keep your eye out. Go to Bell Vibe.
Okay.
Coming soon in the spring.
Okay.
Because we're doing a 6-part series and it'll be available there.
Wow. Okay. That sounds really exciting. Well, thank you so much for spending some time with me today, Jen. I really appreciate that. Welcome back, everybody. Of course, no episode of this show is complete without talking about community events, but first it's time for another edition of
This Month in Fort Erie History, presented by HalfpennyDreadfuls.com.
Perhaps one of Fort Erie's most notable residents was William Forsyth, whose life reads like a novel filled with intrigue and transgression. In early 1799, he was acquitted of an undisclosed felony. However, in March of that year, he was jailed for a capital offense. Escaping jail the next day, he was soon recaptured. In petitioning for his release, the judge concluded the offense involved so many questions of prudence, policy, and law that the request was likely not granted. Forsyth built the first luxury hotel in Niagara Falls and is responsible for the tourist destination it is today. Bertie Hall, his Bridgeburg home, stands as a testament to his life's ambitions.
And once more, welcome back. Here's what's coming up this week in Greater Fort Erie. Tomorrow, that is Wednesday, March the 4th, join us, and by us, I mean the Rosatani Real Estate Group, my team, for the Fort Erie Blood Drive at Greater Fort Erie Secondary School, kicking off at 2:30 p.m. On Thursday, March the 5th, Safari Niagara will be hosting a career fair from 3 p.m. until 6 p.m. Brimstone Brewing Company, also on Thursday, March the 5th, beginning at 6 p.m., will be hosting a do-it-yourself bracelet workshop. On Friday, March the 6th, it is, fun fact, World Day of Prayer. And you can head on over to St. Luke's Evangelical Lutheran Church in Ridgeway from 10:30 a.m. to 12 p.m. To take part. On Saturday, March the 7th at 11 o'clock a.m., Pilates Essentials Plus will be hosting a pelvic floor workshop. There's quite a few events, actually, on Saturday, March the 7th. The Midwinter Powwow is happening at the Fort Erie Native Friendship Center, as I just discussed with Jennifer Dockstader. That's going to be happening from 12 p.m. until 6 o'clock p.m. Again, Saturday, March the 7th from 2 until 4, check out the art show hosted by Lakeside Books and Art in Ridgeway. Also, Saturday, March the 7th, we've got Rock and Roll Dance Night happening at the Fort Erie Conservation Club. That begins at 7 o'clock p.m. And just lastly, a night in support of Boots on the Ground, also happening Saturday, March the 7th, beginning at 7 p.m. at Station 2 Hall, 209 Jarvis Street. That just about does it this week for community events. As a reminder, there will be a brand new episode of the Fort Erie podcast next Tuesday, and my guest will be none other than Rob Rolston, owner of Fort Erie School of Music. Be sure to subscribe to the Fort Erie podcast wherever it is you listen to podcasts, and if you're feeling generous, give me a follow on social media. I'm at Buy With Brent on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Remember, you can connect with me directly or access show notes for this episode and every episode of the show by visiting theforteriepodcast.com. Until next time, folks, so long.
You've been listening to the Fort Erie Podcast with your host, Brent Jones, a sales representative with RE/MAX Niagara Realty Limited Brokerage. Follow at Buy With Brent on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for updates. Subscribe to the Fort Erie podcast on popular platforms like Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and catch a new bite-sized episode every week. Until next time.